All right, hopefully you enjoyed that video. And, my takeaway on that video was that, it's people have a lot of gall. Like you would think people wouldn't lie that blatantly to other people just for money, but people lie like that just for money all the time. So we need to be careful about testimonials. When you see reviews on Amazon, for example, apparently people are paid to give those reviews. And so be careful. I mean, we don't know what, so we should go with data, not with testimonials, right? We want to look things up and see whether Consumer Reports gave an analysis of that product or something like that. Let's see if I can click without starting the video. There we go. So let's talk a little bit about why testimonials persuade so well. And it's mainly because they're vivid. If you can imagine a case, it hits you harder and it affects you more than if it's just numbers and it's sort of nameless, faceless people, something like that. So when you have a case telling you, this worked for me, I really enjoyed this. Oh, I bought this product and it broke the next day. Those kinds of things, you take it more seriously than if you see Consumer Reports saying it gets an 89% rating or whatever, right? 89%, well, what do you even mean by that? As opposed to it broke the next day. Okay, I understand that. It's vivid. I can imagine it happening to me and I don't want it to happen to me. So basically one person's story affects us more than data does. Even if we don't even know that person. We've never seen them before in our lives, but somehow we feel like we can relate. So it's because of the vividness. It's not because we're trusting and we just trust people. It's that their vivid case stands out for us and it's memorable. Another aspect about vividness is that concrete information sways us more than abstract information does. So I'm scared to click this because it's going to show us the US debt clock and I hate seeing it. But let's look. Okay, let's see what it shows us. All right, our national debt is currently up at $38 trillion. When I started teaching this class in 2010 using this simulator, it was at 9 trillion. And that seemed high at the time. It was an enormous amount of money. And now we're at $38 trillion. And look at its spin. It's not going to take long for us to get to $40 trillion. Like, what even is a trillion, though? I mean, seeing it move that fast and knowing that that's a large number, I'm sure you're a little shocked like I am. Like going from 9 to 38 in 15 years is really shocking. This sounds terrible. But honestly, what is $1 trillion? I don't even know how to wrap my mind around that. Like, what does it even mean? And like, what's $1 trillion between friends? I don't even know. So I'm going to show you, so this is what we would call abstract. These are numbers. I'm going to show you something more concrete and let's see if this has an impact. So what does $1 trillion even look like? All right, so we start off with this is what $100 looks like. All right, now this is a bundle of $100 that is worth $10,000. Okay, so one little bundle is $10,000. Okay, that looks pretty small. Now we have this guy standing next to this pile of $100 bills, which is worth $1 million. So it's 100 packets of $10,000 and that makes $1 million. That is very small. Like you could put that in a briefcase for real. Like kind of disappointing, honestly, how small it is. Okay, so how about that? That's $100 million. Okay, now we're talking. Honestly, this is what I thought a million would look like because I have so little concept of what a million is. So 100 million is what I thought a million was. It needs to be 100 times more to achieve the bulk that I expected out of a million. Okay, so that's 100 million. Now what makes up a billion? Well, that's 1,000 million. So $1 billion would be 100 million times 10, right? So we have now in this picture 10 pallets. So one pallet makes 100 million. 10 pallets makes $1 billion. Okay, that's starting to look like some money now. That you're going to need an armored car or something if you're stealing that money. Okay. So what's a trillion? Because remember, we're at 38 trillion. What's a trillion? A trillion is 1,000 billion, right? It's 1,000 billion. It's a million millions. It's 1,000 billion. Okay. I'm just starting to say words that don't even sound like actual words at this point. Let's look at a picture. This is $1 trillion. Now for context, here's our little guy down here on the corner. Teeny tiny little guy. So basically the pallets are at least as high as he is. So we're going to say 6 feet tall, right? Because one pallet's coming up about to his waist, 2 pallets is coming. So it's 2 pallets deep. And oh my gosh, I don't know, a warehouse of size, an auditorium worth of size, 6 feet tall. Okay, that's a lot of money, but now you got to multiply it by 38. So maybe we go up, right? So we've currently got 1, so we'd have to have this replicated 37 more times. I don't even know how to, like, it would probably be a 10-story building. I don't know. See, I can't imagine it. When we start getting back into that abstract of what could it be, now if they drew a picture of it, I would recognize. Okay, fine. So vivid is more visceral, right? So if you can see it, you go, wow, that's a lot. Okay, we really increased when we went from 1 million to 100 million. And then when we went from 100 million to 1 billion, that really increased. And then, oh my gosh, from 1 billion to 1 trillion. I'm starting to get the impression that these are not just normal amounts of multiplying, but like logarithmic amounts of multiplying. Like this is a lot. That's what vividness does for us. Once we can see the concrete visualization, now it seems convincing. Now it's meaningful. And that's what testimonials do. They put a face to it, they put a story to it, and now it's concrete. And so it means more to us. So I thought I'd share with you an example from research. McCabe and Castell back in 2008 did this study where the whole study is basically a setup for the participants. So they told them that they had found a result that was surprising. But that's not even what the point was. What they were testing is whether different kinds of, what would you say, depictions of the result. They read fictional articles summarizing cognitive neuroscience research, right? And so where's the pictures? Okay. Maybe you have to get the actual article open. Hold on a second. Oh, geez Louise. Okay, this isn't what I wanted to have happen. Okay, hold on a second. Okay, this is what I wanted you to see. Okay, so in the description of the results, they were told that playing video games benefit attention, meditation enhances creative thoughts, these kinds of things. Watching TV is good for your memory, some like fake results, whatever they were telling you. And then they would illustrate the results in either graphic form or a brain scan kind of form. So this one, colorized graphic and the brain scan, or just the black and white graphic illustrating the outcome. And so people who saw just the graph are in this condition. The people who saw just the brain image are in this condition. And then the people who just read the article and didn't see any of the pictures are in this control condition. You can see that the people who didn't see any pictures or who just saw the bar graph depicting the impact of TV watching, they thought the scientific reasoning in the article made sense the same amount. The ones who saw the brain scan accompanying the article thought that the article made a lot more sense. They rated it as having a lot more scientific reasoning in it. So what McCabe and Castell were revealing is that people are viewing articles that contain things like brain scans as much more sciencey, much more trustworthy. Honestly, what they're doing is they're letting those brain scans serve as testimonials. Look, it's real science. They scanned a brain. It must be real. It must be meaningful. So this McCabe and Castell brain scan study really kind of threw us into a bit of a tailspin, realizing that people who don't know what that brain scan even means knows that it means more science was done than if all you have is a bar graph, or if you don't have anything there, which is kind of scary. It's kind of a testimonial. It's one of these vividness issues. So seeing a scan of a brain makes it seem like you must have done something really sciencey. Here's a really cautionary tale about that. It turns out, and I'll just zoom in the relative part that's here, I transferred it over here. Researchers in Sweden and the UK landed in the news over the summer of 2016, seeming to claim nearly 40,000 fMRI studies could be invalid. The problem? The most popular statistical analysis software packages could indicate significant brain activity where there wasn't any, more than half of the time. So we rely on computer software to look at the brain scans and colorize it in a way that makes it clear to us where the most activity was happening, where the least activity was happening, and everything in between. And what the researchers in Sweden and the UK found is that that software mislabels the brain about half the time. That's terrible. And then to think that people are relying on those brain scans to be extra sciencey, right? It must be good scientific reasoning because they included a brain scan. So it's not just pseudoscience where people are trusting these kinds of, vivid examples to provide good information. It's also in actual science. All right, well, I'm going to stop talking for a second, and I'm going to let you watch this little piece on Karl Popper, who he was a really important founder in a lot of this, like the falsifiability issue that we talked about in chapter 2, came from Karl Popper. It was his idea to talk about that. And then in this video, it's going to be tying together like how you can tell a person's doing science versus when they're doing pseudoscience. So let me go away and let you watch that.